So PC is finally caught up with console with ATKT out, which means you can not only farm those Juicy Kjarr Weapons, it also means that if you were missing any other weapons from the KT grind, you can now get them much more efficiently. The rework of the reward system for ATKT has made the grind a lot less abusive. You no longer have to run 100, 200 KTs in order to be able to get the weapons you want. This is due to the addition of the rainbow reward boxes for ATKT, which have a significantly higher drop rate for R8s and R7s. But how do the rainbow boxes and ATKT's reward systems work, and how can you most efficiently farm them? Well, I'm JinJinx, one of the Monster Hunter math guys, and this is Jinx's Musings, ATKT reward systems. So before we get into all of that, I do want to let you guys know we are working on the part 2 of the ATKT meta series. The builds for Area 4 are one of the more difficult ones to crunch for optimal damage. Not only are there a lot of builds because there are a lot of different weapon choices and roles you take in Area 4, but if you're doing a CC style P1 like we recommend in our P1 guide for ATKT, you're generally also going to have an affinity booster, which of course also means affinity booster and non-affinity booster builds in the video. In addition to that, there's also the fact that elemental weapons are actually very strong against ATKT. But she also has extremely high raw and elemental hit zone values, meaning that the ratio isn't as skewed as you might think. This means in certain weapons such as SNS or dual blades, we have to do both raw damage per second and elemental damage per second comparisons to see which build actually measures up to which build. This is further exacerbated by the fact that the new Kjarr weapons compared to the old best elemental weapons have higher EFR but lower effective elements. And we want to make sure we always give you guys accurate information because we actively combat misinformation on the channel, which means lots of damage calculations to figure out which build actually will deal more DPS. More EFR and also conversely, just more EFE doesn't necessarily mean more damage against ATKT. Fortunately, I love spreadsheets. Either way, thank you guys so much for your patience, and we will have that video out to you guys very soon. So first off, let's talk about why these new rainbow boxes are such a godsend for farming R8 and R7 weapons. So in case you weren't already aware, the drop rates for Rarity 7 and Rarity 8 weapons for old KT were laughably low. So for sublimated weapons or the gold weapons you got from boxes, you had a 63% chance for an R7 and 37% chance for an R8. For melded, aka silver weapons, you had a Rarity 6 chance of 79%, a Rarity 7 chance of 18%, and a Rarity 8 chance of 3%. And for bronze weapons or dissolved weapons, you had a 6% chance for Rarity 7. Now these actually don't look too bad. But the real issue was that the gold boxes you got from rewards against old KT weren't guaranteed to give you a sublimated weapon. And as I'm sure you're familiar, this meant with old KT you weren't even guaranteed to get an R8 or R7 each run. But let's compare this to ATKT's numbers. On screen we have all of the data mine drop rates for everything related to ATKT. Thank you to AsteriskAmpersand over on our Discord server for data mining this, and to Material for posting this graph on the Discord server as soon as the information was found. Aster is a phenomenal data miner and modder. Many of the values that we use come from him, and many of the mods you probably use also come from him. We will have links in the description to his Nexus Mods account, as well as the Monster Hunter World Modding Discord where he is an admin. Be sure to go show him some love. So I've gone ahead and taken the data and just distilled it down to the parts that are relevant to Rare 7, Rare 8, and Kjarr weapon drops. Over here on the left side, we have all of the drop rates for the different appraisal weapons from ATKT. Top right is the respective drop rates for R7s, R8s, and the Juicy Kjarr weapons for each of these different appraisal weapons. And in the bottom right, we combine the data in these two previous tables in order to get the respective drop rates per weapon for each box type. As you can see, these are significantly better than they previously were, especially when you consider how many of these boxes you get per run. Now, the amount of rainbow boxes you get per run are extremely variable depending on your performance. And of course, in this video, I will be explaining that very in depth in how it works. But for the sake of illustration, let's just take the standard rewards you get from a standard P1 using our method. So in one of these standard P1s, you will get 4 bronze boxes, 3 silver boxes, 2 gold boxes, and 5 rainbow boxes. When we calculate the average amount of R7s, R8s, and Juicy Kjarr weapons from these kinds of runs, these are the results. Keep in mind these are averages, and RNG does take a huge part in what you actually end up getting. and these do not account for duplicates, so do not use these numbers as a way to try to determine how long it will take you to get a specific weapon, especially because the top end loot tables are now more diluted. Regardless of all of that though, you now get a shitload more top end weapons from each run. This is why despite the increased difficulty and complexity of ATKT, she is a lot better to run than the old KT. The drop rates just aren't nearly as abusive anymore. But how do we get these 5 rainbow boxes? Well, let's talk about the reward system in depth. So first off, you get up to 2 rainbow boxes just from your reward level. You get 2 for the max level 17 rewards, or you get 1 for 16 or lower. I'm not actually 100% sure what the minimum reward level is for this one box because, well, you always get it as long as you break the horns. Even if you fail to trigger Fury mode in ATKT during the siege and then break her horns in that run, you still get these boxes. Then you get another 2 boxes for her single siege bonus. Again, you get these even if you do not Fury ATKT but manage to break her horns. So basically you get the single siege bonus unless you meet a failure condition. The first failure condition is failing the quest at pursuit level 1. But no, running out of time and KT escaping does not count as failing the quest. Failing the quest only counts if you either triple cards or you leave early through the return from quest option in your menu. This only applies at pursuit level 1. In other words, if you fail your P1 and she manages to escape before you break her horns, but you did not leave quest early or you did not triple card out, then at the higher pursuit levels, if you do triple card during the hunt, you can still get the single siege bonus when you finally break her horns. And an important note is that the single siege bonus is an independent reward condition. This means it only applies to the people who did actually fail it. Other groups in your lobby triple carting out of their hunt doesn't do anything for your single siege. And the other possible failure condition is not being in a P1 lobby when you first join. I assume this is to prevent people from just searching for high pursuit lobbies to get easy runs. Basically, if you join the siege late, you don't get single siege bonus. Unfortunately, this does kind of screw you if you DC. And finally, you get 2 boxes for putting ATKT into Fury mode and then breaking her horns. We do already discuss how to trigger Fury mode in our P1 guide, so be sure to check that out if you're curious. And yes, it is possible to get an extra 2 boxes, giving you a total of 4 boxes for breaking the horns in Fury mode. However, as far as the community can tell, this is completely RNG. In fact, it is actually possible this RNG works the same as the Elder Melder table, which if you didn't know, the Elder Melder does use a preset table for all of its deco melds. This is the reason why it is entirely possible to save scum the Elder Melder to get the specific decos you want. The reason why we believe this might be the case is a Japanese group actually tested this. Basically, they did 3 different runs and the 3rd gave them those 2 extra boxes. They then all reloaded their old save files, did 3 runs again, and the 3rd once again gave them 2 extra boxes. This preset table mechanic is exactly how the Elder Melder works, and it's entirely possible Capcom just recycled it. However, this was only ever tested once, so take it with a grain of salt. Otherwise, myself as well as many other groups have tested so many different things trying to figure out if any of them will trigger the 4-box rewards. Things like chipping the horns in area 2, 3, or 4, things like doing extra damage or breaking 20 parts instead of 15, just a whole bunch of different things, and none of them have consistently given 4-box rewards. If any of you have any new data on this, please let me know in the comments because I would love to know that this isn't just RNG. Because let's be real, we don't need more RNG for KT. Anyway, this puts our reliable rainbow boxes per run to 6 max. Because as we just discussed, the last 2 boxes seem to be RNG. But now that we have this information on how the reward system works, let's discuss the different ways to farm ATKT and why P1s are still the best from an efficiency standpoint. So there are 2 general methods for efficient ATKT farming. The first and most common way is to run an ATKT 2-run siege, aka a butt sniffing lobby. We are considering doing a video covering butt sniffing lobbies in depth because it seems to be a very hot topic. If that's something that might interest you guys, leave a comment below to let us know. But basically, you spend P1 just running around sniffing KT's butts and picking up tracks for pursuit level. This is the most efficient way for you to get to a higher pursuit level time-wise. Doing a full P1 run and failing to break the horns can take over 18 minutes, which is a long time. If you leave KT alone, she'll leave in 8 minutes on her own, so it saves you at least 10 minutes. And you cannot shorten this 8 minutes down, unfortunately, by leaving early because you lose a single siege bonus. That's likely the reason why they included that in the failure mechanics. After the butt sniffing, you go back at a higher pursuit level and she's much easier to clear. All of her HP pools are halved at pursuit level 2 and halved again at pursuit level 3, so she becomes significantly easier after a butt sniff. So much so that generally you'll also want to break her tail in area 4 to get level 17 rewards for an extra rainbow box. This method gives you a total of 6 rainbow boxes. The other method is the P1 method, the style of farming runs that we have been advocating on this channel literally since its inception. The first actual videos I ever did were about P1ing original KT back in the day. Now, of course, we have a full guide on P1ing ATKT, link in the top right and the description. So I'm not gonna cover the methodology here because we have a video for that. But suffice to say, this is definitely a much more challenging thing to do consistently unless you know how to do it and have a good group. But assuming you can do it consistently and cleanly, you will be getting 10 to 13 minutes on average per run. Now, you only get 5 boxes on average because it is generally unrealistic to expect to break the tail. Now, it is possible to break the tail and break the horns in Fury mode at P1. But you have to have an insanely clean group to be able to do that consistently. And it's just generally not considered to be worth trying to do it because it risks you not breaking the horns and having to do an extra run. So let's just assume you get those 5 boxes. That's 1 less box than you get from a butt sniffing run. But KT is all about time efficiency. So a butt sniffing run takes 8 minutes for the P1 siege, and then the second higher pursuit level siege will take about 8 to 10 minutes. There is just a limit to how much you can streamline those higher pursuit level runs because there are timers attached to each area. On top of that, you have twice the loading times to account for, and because KT is a group monster, that means if anyone on your team doesn't have an SSD, you all have to wait longer to load in. And also you have to wait on all of the hunters in your lobby to come back from their first butt sniffing run before you can start your second run, so that can add some extra time too. All this for 1 extra rainbow box. And assuming we are correct and it is an RNG table for the extra 2 boxes from Fury mode, that means that P1s will also be getting more of those per hour simply because of the fact that they have more rotations going through per hour. Whichever way you shake it, P1s are just much more efficient in terms of boxes to time. And if I'm being completely frank, they're just much more entertaining to me personally. I like to play games for a challenge, and ATKT P1s are a challenge. And once you know the strategies and the meta and you have a good group, you can very easily get 100% consistency on your clear rates. But ATKT P1s are most importantly more active and fun. You literally have to spend 8 minutes running around and just sniffing her butt in a butt sniffing lobby. And I've got really bad ADHD, so if I'm not being entertained, I lose focus really fast. Not to bash butt sniffing lobbies as a whole, I do objectively understand they are quite a bit easier and a lot of people prefer them, but they're just not for me. And you can of course just fight ATKT normally in P1 and then finish her at a higher pursuit level anyway without doing a butt sniffing lobby. But as we mentioned, you're probably adding about 10 minutes plus per rotation, meaning that you're probably getting an ATKT done twice an hour. Not very nice. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys in this one. Thanks for watching as always, guys, we always appreciate it. And be sure to like the video if you learned something new and let us know in the comments what it was. And if there's a particular ATKT topic you'd like to learn about, be sure to let me know in the comments. As always, a huge thank you to Honey over at Honey Hunter World for making the tools we use to make sets. And yes, P1s do require you to have a group, but fortunately we have a Discord server, the Mathalos Nest. We have a huge community of hunters on PC and console who are always looking to group up. Seriously, we're pretty sure over half of our community joined specifically for KT groups. Be sure to check us out on Twitter where we post updates about videos and things that just interest us. And be sure to check out Tuna on Twitch, he streams almost every day and does a fuckload of ATKT. If you enjoy our content and would like to help support us with putting it out, be sure to check out our Patreon. And an especially huge thank you to Ray Enriquez, Exponage, Hiker, Milky Powder, Yoshi Cho, John Cohen, Ken Alvarez, Robin, Bram Orsel, Lightweight, Skylar Yang, Checkleman, Lupin, Mongus, Zimv, Lord Cyrene, and Jamie. Seriously, thank you guys so much, this channel could not exist without your continued support. As I mentioned earlier, we will have that second part of the ATKT meta sets out to you guys very soon. So be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you'd like to know about that the moment it comes out. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys. Happy horn-breaking hornbreakers, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!